Experience the drama.
Get out!
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevatishwa.
Sile wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
The Shift.
Well, tonight, mounting tensions as the men in cloth issue a 2-week ultimatum to the judiciary to expedite the reconstitution of IEBC.
And later on, we delve into the experiences you've had with SHA. What has been your story? Over to you, Regina Manyara.
Now, on November 22nd last year, the government took a bold step in healthcare reforms with the launch of the Social Health Insurance Act. This law introduced 3 key funds under the Social Health Authority: the Primary Healthcare Fund, the Social Health Insurance Fund, and the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. This initiative is part of the government's plan to ensure affordable healthcare for all and move us closer to universal health coverage. But how far have we come? Tonight, we speak to Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, for insights on what lies ahead. Our guest, as you can see there, is already here, and we want to hear from you. Send your questions and feedback, and we'll sample them during the interview. Now, the big question is, what has been your experience with the Social Health Authority so far? We'll delve into this important conversation after catching up on the day's stories with Mchuma and Tom. For now, our guest is in studio and was received by our very own Catherine Achenga, who is leading the production of The Shift. Over to you, Tom and Mchuma.
Thoughts on our social media platforms, which are?
At KBC Channel 1 on X, YouTube, and Facebook.
That's right. These and more compelling stories coming up on this program. And it begins right now with a look at our highlights. Kenyatta University Hospital woos.
Board chair resigns. Entire board disbanded. CEO sent on indefinite leave following days of staff protests.
It is not acceptable in this day and age that we have Kenyans stay in camps year end.
Waters of death and destruction.
12 flood-related deaths recorded. 3,900 households displaced following the onset of rains. KWS new chapter.
President William Ruto hails KWS for digitizing services and
increasing revenue during the graduation of range recruits and cadets.
Well, our sign language expert is who?
Brian Muraru, a very warm welcome to this broadcast. Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube.
Speak to us. Now we start off with our lead story. President Dr. William Ruto is tonight commending the Kenya Wildlife Service for digitizing its services and increasing its revenue substantially.
The president said the institution is now able to cover up to 87% of its budget, which has made it possible to undertake major projects to run its programs.
President Ruto made the remarks during the passing out parade of 1,274 Ranger recruits and cadets at the KWS Law Enforcement Academy in Manyani, Taita Taveta.
This report was compiled by Adan Mohammed.
President William Ruto was in Manyani for the pass-out parade of 1,274 Ranger recruits and cadets, where he commended the Kenya Wildlife Service for going digital, a move that has increased its revenue substantially. The head of state said the institution is now able to cover up to 87% of its budget and comfortably run its operations.
I commend KWS for achieving another commendable milestone, mobilizing sufficient revenue to finance 87% of its overall corporate budget through internally generated funds, thanks to the consistent improvement in efficiency and transparency.
The president emphasizing unwavering commitment to anti-poaching efforts, saying the measures have achieved remarkable success and saved a number of species that a few years ago were on the verge of extinction.
The exceptional young men and women before us have been carefully instructed, thoroughly trained, and are now entrusted with the noble duty of safeguarding Kenya's invaluable wildlife heritage.
The president pointed out that in 2020, Kenya recorded a zero rhino poaching cases, a landmark achievement, after years of battling corrupt and vicious criminal syndicate. The president said to mitigate human-wildlife conflict, the government has invested 2.9 billion shillings to address the impact of climate change, which has exacerbated conflict.
We have the largest contingent of vehicles that will be used by Kenya Wildlife Service. We have 98 vehicles that will be used by these young men and women to protect our wildlife assets and to manage our conservation spaces. Again, that is a testament to our commitment to building KWS as an institution that is going to support the wildlife sector and our national parks and game reserves.
On the human-wildlife conflict, the president said the government has introduced a digital fund administration system to ensure timely and efficient compensation for victims of wildlife attacks. The head of state challenging the newly recruited rangers to carry out their duties with dedication, courage and patriotism. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, who was present, said this year's trainees at Academy had the highest number of women in the history of ranger training.
For the record, our aim is to bring on board as many young women to the wildlife conservation space as possible, given that by nature, women are born and wired to nurture and to groom.
Well, from that heartwarming story to another report on people who are abled differently.
Now, as the world marks International Day of Persons Who Are Abled Differently, the government and non-governmental organizations have been urged to prioritize persons living with neurodevelopmental disorders such as epilepsy and autism, which have been termed as forgotten disabilities.
That's right. The majority of people in the disability bracket are said to be facing discrimination and stigmatization, which hinders them from accessing available opportunities.
Here is that report.
Bungoma County was the host of this year's International Day of Persons with Disability. The occasion saw thousands of Kenyans with disability flogging Kibabe Stadium in support of the day. Under the theme, Amplifying the Leadership of Persons with Disabilities for an Inclusive and Sustainable Future, Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua put on notice institutions that do not implement disability-friendly policies and infrastructure in their organizations.
Wewe ni mhandisi mkuu wa serikali, una design barabara. Ile barabara una design haina hata walkway, haina hata ramp ambayo inatumika kuweza kutumia walemavu waweze kutumia vizuri. Kuanzia mwezi wa 7 tarehe 1, maofisa wa wizara yangu watazunguka kulingana na sheria. Hata kama ni bunge hapa Bungoma, tutaenda tuweke mbao tufunge.
And in Nairobi, the day was also marked with the National Councils for Persons with Disability pledging to push for the introduction of a new Disability Act that acknowledges caregivers as first responders.
When the early interventions are done the right way from the foundation, then we are sure we are building a future of inclusive leadership that involves all the diverse impairments within the disabilities.
Every child deserves the opportunity to thrive, and it's up to all of us to create a society where inclusion and acceptance is the norm.
So if you have to give finances, I think it's important that you don't classify disability into mild, middle, or intensive.
This comes amidst a call to the government to prioritize those that have neurodevelopmental disorder and also set up disability centers in schools to cater for the group.
People think that there is a perception of how autistic people should look like. So people will be like, oh, you're not autistic. Then they're like, no, you don't look like one.
However, the biggest challenge remains the support, especially from our government and even the private sector, for the invisible disabilities. And like in Kenya, approximately 1.5 people live with epilepsy.
Still in Nairobi, education stakeholders are calling for the mobilization of funds to help learners living with special needs, noting that most of them are disenfranchised due to lack of assistive devices, hence limiting them in education and consequently denying them an opportunity to compete favorably in the job market.
So I call for more resourcing so that we can have more buses, not just at the Action Foundation, but for all other organizations that are delivering STEM training. We invite them to also think innovatively on how they can reach learners.
We will be doing testing to see how it works. The bus is adapted for students with disabilities who may be using wheelchairs or who may have mobility challenges.
Elsewhere, Mandera County joined the global community in celebrating the International Day for Persons with Disabilities with a focus on inclusivity, empowerment and equal opportunities for persons with disabilities. Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Well, that tension that we talked about earlier on in the bulletin between the moral estate and the guardian of the Constitution, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, has issued a 2-week ultimatum to the court and parliament to end the stalemate that's facing that reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, failure to which they will call Kenyans to action.
Speaking during a 2-day statutory meeting in Limuru, the religious leaders, including Archbishop Ole Sapit and Canon Chris Kinyanjui, condemned alleged attacks and intimidation of their pastors by security agencies.
Now, Sapit has further directed his bishop in Bungoma to refund the money, you remember, that was donated to the church by a governor in Western Kenya. And the claim is that the source of those funds are not known.
We urge you to raise your voices to demand that the judiciary concludes the cases touching on IEBC within the next 2 weeks. We must get back our democracy.
And what happened in Bungoma was unfortunate because it was like a display of trying to see what will the Anglican do following what the decision made by the Catholics. It is very unfortunate that every arm of the government, executive, legislature, and judiciary, and even the independent commissions have been associated with corruption.
On to the wrangles at the university leadership, Tom.
Yeah, Professor Olive Mugendi has resigned, and as the chairperson, I beg your pardon, of Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital Board.
In a statement issued by the State House spokesperson, Hussein Mohammed, President William Ruto has received and accepted resignation that takes effect immediately.
That's right. Other changes that have been effected as well at the referral facility include the disbandment of the entire board with immediate effect.
Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital CEO Ahmed Degane has also been directed to proceed on indefinite leave.
Dr. Zainab Gura has been appointed to replace him in an acting capacity. Isaac Kamau, who was recently appointed by the board as the acting chief executive officer, has now been recalled to the Ministry of Health headquarters.
Healthcare workers at the referral hospital staged demos on Monday, paralyzing services at the facility to the core.
That's right.
The workers decried a number of grievances, which include long working hours, sexual harassment,
lack of uniforms, risk allowances, among many things, and also a waiver of medical bills for staff in critical care departments. Now let's take you to the lakeside city of Kisumu, where at least 12 flood-related deaths have been recorded countrywide since the onset of the short rains that are currently pounding the country.
Principal Secretary in charge of Internal Security and National Administration, Raymond Omolo, says over 3,900 households have been displaced.
And now, as Weekly for Catch reports, PS Omolo acknowledged that relief efforts spearheaded by the Kenya Red Cross is ongoing, but urged for more humanitarian assistance from well-wishers. Why? To alleviate the suffering of those who are affected by those rains.
Here is that report.
Is among the over 1,900 families that are seeking refuge here at Ogenya's Center for Displaced Persons. Felicitas has been camping here since April, and despite being expectant, she has had to put up with all the challenges here, including inadequate food and medical supplies, among other basic needs.
Hizi vitu za Red Cross mchana kuna joto, lakini ikifika usiku ni baridi. Sasa hiyo kukohoa, malaria ni kitu common tu, lakini ukirent nyumba na ukuwe na kitu ya mkono unaweza manage kulipa hiyo rent.
Felicitas lives in this makeshift structure together with her 2 children and other 2 ladies. 22-year-old Felicitas sat her KCSE exams in 2019, scoring a mean grade of D+. She has aspirations of becoming a lab technician, but financial constraint is the stumbling block.
Juu wazazi wako na hiyo uwezo ya kunilipia college, ndio maana nilikuwa married, lakini hata saa hii nikipelekwa college bado nitasoma.
Just like Felicitas Otieno, many of the households here believe that with proper and significant financial boost, they are able to fend for themselves away from this center so that they can be able to stand on their own feet once again. Felicitas and her 2 children are among the over 3,900 households that have since been displaced from their homes by the ongoing rains, which have also claimed at least 12 lives countrywide.
It is not acceptable in this day and age that we have Kenyans stay in camps year end. And we have a responsibility to work closely, both national government and county governments, to address that concern.
PS Raymond Omolo says the government is pursuing both short-term and long-term response measures, which include construction of dikes along rivers and water streams, as well as establishing resettlement schemes for flood victims.
And as we try to have Kenyans stay away from danger, we do what it takes, but again, we are appealing to Kenyans to work closely with all the leaders at all levels.
Omolo is at the same time urging for more humanitarian assistance for the flood victims. For Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
An update now on that Miritini death story. And tonight we report that 3 more individuals have succumbed to injuries sustained from yesterday's collapsed perimeter wall in KCC in Miritini, Jomvu constituency, that is in Mombasa County, bringing the death toll to 8.
A 6-month-old baby who was also in the accident remains in critical condition, according to the village elder Nasib Mwinyi Faki. 3 women passed away while they were receiving treatment at Port Reitz Hospital in Changamwe constituency.
Now the locals have attributed the wall collapse to poor workmanship and use of substandard materials. Our Mombasa-based reporter puts that story in perspective.
The death toll of mourners who lost their lives after the perimeter wall of Cusco Company, which they were seeking shelter from a heavy rain, has risen from 5 to 8, with the 6-month-old baby still remaining in critical condition at the Coast General Teaching and Referral Hospital.
Kia hivi leo ile idadi iliongezeka ikafikia ni watu 8 ndio wamefariki. Mtoto mmoja ndio yuko hai mpaka saa hii. Uwe mtoto hali yake ni mahututi mpaka saa hii, hatujajua hali yake itakuwa kivipi mpaka saa hii.
However, the residents have criticized the county government of Mombasa for failing to deliver on its promise to demolish the remaining portion of the collapsed perimeter wall, which they claim still poses a significant threat to their safety.
Tumeambiwa kufikia saa 3 watakuwa wale mawaziri wamerudi na ule ukuta umevunjwa, na mpaka sasa hatujaona hiyo kazi ambayo inaendelea. Tumeona watu wa NCA ndio wamekuja pale wakaandika maandishi yao, na sasa hii attention imerudi tena juu, kumerudi tena mvua.
Mfanye bidii kama serikali ya kaunti kuja kuvunja ule ukuta, ama kama mmeshindwa tutovunja wenyewe wananchi wa Miritini. Hatutaki tena maafa zaidi ya hayo.
Ile ukuta hata kama sikuondolewa, lakini iteremshwe chini, ijengwe kimadhubuti tupate usalama.
At the same time, the bereaved families have appealed to the national government for compensation, expressing frustration over high funeral expenses and the challenges of adapting to life without their breadwinners.
Sasa mimi nimeachiwa ulezi na sijui nitaupata nani na sina kazi yoyote. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali inipatie msaada ya watoto wangu vile nitawalea.
Tunachoomba ni kwamba tufuatilie kisheria ili tupate compensation kuhusiana na wale wapendwa wetu waliopotea.
Pana mtoto mdogo kama huyu ameniachia. Kuna mapacha 2 wasichana amewaacha. Alafu kuna mtoto wake mmoja ni mjamzito. Je, pale mimi nitafanya nini? Ama bwana wake marehemu atafanya nini kuhusu wale watoto?
This as Mombasa Governor Abdul Somad Nasir assured the public that his administration will take stringent measures to prevent such tragedies in future.
There's a team that is going to be going around. I have given them instructions. Tunaangusha, na ikiwa hujahatarisha maisha ya mtu, tunakucharge for building without getting necessary approvals. Na wale ambao wamejenga kiolela, tunaona kwa kuna hatari, we'll even inform the DCI and DPP waweze ku raise those criminal charges on these individuals.
For Prime Edition, I'm Abdulaziz Abeid.
From Mombasa straight to the corridors of justice, 13 officers of the disbanded Special Service Unit, a Kenya Wildlife Service officer and a National Intelligence Service officer suspected of killing 2 Indian nationals and a Kenyan taxi driver will remain in custody for another 13 days.
This after the Kiambu High Court Judge Lady Justice Abigail Mshila said that she will make the ruling on the 13th of December, that's 10 days from today, as to whether the officers will be freed or charged with a murder offense.
15 suspects have been in custody since November 2022 and are yet to take a plea to the alleged murder charges leveled against them by the Directorate of Public Prosecution. Through their defense counsel, led by Wandungi Karathe, Danstan Omari and Clinton Mwale, they prayed to the court to have the 15 officers be released from remand, saying the suspect's family have paid bond and cash bail as directed by the High Court Judge Lady Justice Dora Chepkwony.
There is injustice, my lady, for persons who have complied
with the conditions under Article 49 and 50, being granted bail, and then being refused bail by subterfuge.
The charge is murder, and there's another charge. So your objections will be to those two charges, okay? There's no new issue. It's just those two charges, yeah? Okay? So responses be filed, and when you file your response, it will be one.
Elsewhere, 2 Italian nationals facing 32 million shillings in fraud charges in a Kilifi law court have reportedly proposed an out-of-court settlement to the complainants. In a letter dated November 28, 2024, the defense lawyer said that they were willing to pay Rita Napo 8 million shillings in full and another 3 million shillings to Girola Fiorenzo if they both withdraw their criminal complaints and civil suit.
The most important thing here is that the letter purportedly written without prejudice purports to settle a matter that is already before you, actively before you, and actively before the High Court.
The parties have 14 days cumulatively to file responses and submissions to the 2 applications, and the defense have brief to file other or further affidavit if need be upon service.
Finally, Diamond Trust Bank's Chief Executive Officer has been ordered to appear in a Mombasa Magistrate Court on December 10th for cross-examination in a legal dispute over 174 million shillings loan. The magistrates issued the orders after the DTB Mombasa Bank branch manager, who had been summoned, was unable to explain how the disputed loan was acquired in his Mombasa branch. Christine Matunda, Prime Edition.
Now moving on, the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of Performance and Delivery Management, Eliud Owalo, is tonight calling for caution in the adoption of artificial intelligence to avoid 1, misinformation, 2, disinformation, driven by technology on social media ahead of the 2027 general poll.
Owalo, who was speaking during a regional conference on the use of AI, digital and social media in Kenya elections, said whereas the country cannot ignore emerging technological trends, there was need for players in the sector to safeguard misuse that can harm the nation's fabric.
Now, Wiper leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who attended the event, however, called for urgent reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC if you like, saying further delay may plunge the country into deeper constitutional crisis.
I urge those who are standing in the way of reconstituting IEBC to be able to see the bigger picture. They should set aside their narrow selfish interests in preference to the greater good of this nation. Please allow us to reconstitute IEBC as soon as possible. Please allow us. Anybody in Kenya today hearing that the Senate wishes to do with away with the live streaming of elections would just be surprised. Are we going backwards or forwards in this country?
There is risk of polarization, erosion of trust due to AI-driven misinformation, and potential voter manipulation. We therefore need to balance the risks and opportunities with respect to technology from an electoral process perspective.
Well, that story on AI and technology and disinformation and misinformation brings us to our first break here on Prime Edition.
Coming up, the shifts on the other side, and don't go away, we are just getting started.
That's right, we'll be back in a short while. Stay with us.
Ni sahi ishafika na ni kubwa kubwa. Kwani hii Kristi ni bomba na Blue Santa kupitia star 570 hash option 1. Rudia. Star 570 hash option 1. Iko PlayStation 5 na 55 TV na iko 500,000 Kenyan shillings. Na mbuzi moja? Na mbuzi. 1 million Kenyan shillings na Samsung S24 Ultra.
Nakuzivaja?
Iko 2 million Kenyan shillings na iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Nakuzimili.
Blue Santa amekuja na zawadi kibao. Nani kubwa kubwa? Hapa kuna ndogo ndogo. Hapa Christmas ni bomba.
Wewe bro, nipatie hiyo risiti ya items. Wazi wazi.
Cheki, mimi sina ado hizo na
Excuse, niletee risiti yangu ya items. Asante. Ni pesa ngapi? 3,000. Hebu nisaidie na ile risiti ya items.
Nimeshinda mil. I'm the latest millionaire. Marry me, baby.
Yes! Guys, nimeshinda laptop. Nimeshinda TV 50 inches.
Nice na Risiti Legit promotion kutoka KRA. Download Risiti Legit app, scan QR code kwenye risiti yako, ujishindie zawadi kem kila wiki. Kuna grand prize ya milioni 3 kwa washindi 3 milioni kila mmoja.
Do you have a complaint or is something just not adding up with your pension scheme? It's easy to file a complaint directly with the Retirement Benefits Authority, and it's absolutely free. Just visit www.complaints.rba.go.ke and follow the prompts to file your complaint. RBA will acknowledge your complaint within 7 working days. Your complaint will be reviewed and addressed within 30 working days. Your time and peace of mind are important, and anyone dissatisfied with the decision of RBA can appeal to the Independent Retirement Benefits Appeals Tribunal. RBA is here to listen and resolve your complaint promptly, because your retirement should be stress-free. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800 720 300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Mgeni Meru, it's time to talk. After Homa Bay, we're bringing the conversation to your doorstep. Got questions, concerns?
Which criteria are you using that you can say now we want to increase this limit to this amount?
We've got the right answers.
The first criteria which we use is that the limit which we want to have must cover the majority of the people.
This is your chance to meet the experts face to face. Get clarity, get informed, get secure. Meru, are you ready? Don't miss out. Be there.
I've been to Dubai, China, and now off to the US. Courtesy of eCitizen, I managed to get my passport just in time for my first conference abroad. Even you guys can get it. Link up with eCitizen. Service bila stress. Service bila stress. Service bila stress.
The Shift.
Indeed, we shift gears and we focus on tonight's conversation, where an old adage states a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Similarly, if you do not eat healthy, you will rely on medicine as your food, which in most cases is costly and can bankrupt your family. Perhaps in recognition of this, the government prioritized affordable health care. The goal was to shift the country's health story from curative care to preventive and promotive health. But for this to succeed, key issues like affordability, access, quality, and human resource must be addressed. This prompts the question, is the country's health sector healthy? Medical Services Principal Secretary Harry Kimtai is in studio to respond to this. I'm Regina Manyara, and this is A Shift. Now, let's start off with that particular question, Bwana PS. Is the country's, in your opinion, is the country's health sector healthy? It's either yes or no.
That I can say you, it is a yes.
It's a yes. And have you registered yourself for SHA?
Yes, I've registered myself. Number one, I think I was contributor member of NHIF. And by virtue of being a contributor member of NHIF, I was shifted automatically to SHA. And
so
my salary is known, so we deduct 2.75%, which has been remitted to SHA. So I am eligible for all the benefits under SHA.
Under SHA. So it's to say that you did not register you did not do the self-registration yourself. You were migrated, just as I was.
I did the self-registration.
All right.
Yes, I did both. I started with self-registration. You remember, we are the ones who were testing the system and to make sure that it's ready. And therefore, at that particular time, I registered. But when, again, it became automatic that I migrated, we just followed up with this, and again I reconfirmed that indeed I am a beneficiary of SHA.
Now, what was your experience, especially when you're doing your self-registration? Did you experience any challenges when registering?
The experience was very interesting. Number one, it was very simple because you simply need to dial *147#, and you will get a message which will confirm that these are your status, and you verify, check if that's your correct name using your ID, and there you are, you become already a registered member.
Now, do you believe that you have addressed the teething problems shifting to SHA?
Yes, we have addressed the teething problems, number one, because people are having challenges in registration. That has been resolved. Two, the hospitals initially did not understand the system. It took them a while to understand the system. But after that, when we took them through again and again through the training, they were able now to use the system without any challenges. So you remember yes, I can tell you that there were teething problems, but we resolved them within a short period.
Okay. Now, let's shift, or rather, let's flip the script here. We often hear about, how Kenyans are adjusting to shift, from NHIF now to SHA. But as a PS Medical Services, how has it been, for you personally, overseeing this transition from NHIF to SHA on a personal level?
On a personal level, overseeing the transition from NHIF to SHA has been very interesting. In the first place, Kenyans were not used to a digital system. So when you told them that you need to register, and once you're registered, when you go to the facilities, you will have your details there already, and you will receive a treatment without any delay. They thought it was not going to be possible. But I think Kenyans, 6 days down the line, we are now steering a situation where we are able to access our healthcare system using the digital system. Two, we can now, in fact, as we continue improving the system, you do not need to have those cards. You use your ID card. So no more carrying of the cards other than your ID card.
So it's
just
electronic.
To confirm it is electronic, just to confirm your status.
Your personal experience, I can imagine the numerous calls. How was it? In brief.
In brief, my personal experience was one, calls that we received where people were saying, I'm not able to access treatment, specifically the ones who were on dialysis, because they had booked on that particular day, on the 1st of October, they had booked. But when they reached there, some of the facilities were not ready because they had not prepared, and they turned away the patients. That was the most difficult part for us to watch. Not because of the challenge of the system per se, but because they also just ignored our request that they need to continue treating the patients. If there is a system challenge, there was an alternative. We had given them alternatives for that, but they simply ignored. And what they did is they went and told the patients to pay cash where they had already paid their previous NHIF. And we had assured them that since you have automatically been migrated, you do not need to pay again.
Okay.
It was really painful at that particular time, but we blame the hospital administrators who did not heed our call at that particular time.
Okay. Now, let's have a listen to what the president had to say in his latest State of the Nation address there in regard to matters of universal health care.
Honorable members, universal health coverage is a cornerstone of our transformation agenda and a matter that touches every Kenyan family. Despite health being a devolved function, we acknowledge the immense financial burden that comes with health. Counties have struggled with shortages of medicine, equipment, sometimes staff, hindering service delivery and leaving countless Kenyans with suboptimal access to health care. It would have been easy for me to step back and leave this responsibility to counties alone. But that would have been a disservice to Kenyans and a betrayal to our Constitution. Instead of engaging in debates about healthcare being devolved, I have chosen the hardest but necessary path of addressing this challenge head on.
And on our big question tonight, we're asking you, what is your experience under SHA so far? That is a Social Health Authority. How's been your experience? Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. My X handle is at Ray Manyara. Now, the president addressed the issue of universal health care there. But then you have stated that the country's health sector is healthy.
Yes.
What makes you believe that?
Number one, the number of Kenyans who have registered under SHA, right now it's 15,800,000 as of today, and we expect this number to continue increasing. That means they have confidence in the healthcare system. You've just heard the president say he had to take this thing head on. That means we had to make sure that we have reforms, and specifically the laws that were passed last year to strengthen and support delivery of UHC.
Okay. So what was fundamentally wrong with, the now defunct NHIF that government felt the need to change now to SHA? And now, just as we were getting used to SHA, we are talking about Taifa Care. Where do we draw the line?
Number one, NHIF had a lot of challenges. All right? Many hospitals, as we are speaking now, NHIF, the defunct NHIF owes those hospitals millions, in fact billions of Kenya shillings. That means that system was not working. They had stayed with the money or claims of the facilities for a longer period, some dating back 10 years. There was need to fix that. How do we come up with a system that will be able to fix that? We had to leverage on digitization. It's only through proper digitization, full digitization, that we're able to deliver UHC. One, we now have to know the facilities are actually registered. Two, we also want to know the doctors, the healthcare human resource providers, are they the right ones who are providing service? We need to know. So the issue of drugs, when you go to these facilities, you find that you will not get drugs. You go there, you see a doctor or a clinician, they prescribe, they cannot dispense at the public health facilities. And I'm talking about the public health facilities specifically, where majority of Kenyans go. So we have to fix this, and we have to leverage on digitization.
Okay.
We also realized that there was need for us to pass other laws. For example, the Facility Improvement Fund, which will ring fence the funds or the revenue that comes to that facility so that they're able to buy drugs. A patient goes there, must receive treatment and get the drugs or the medicine.
Now, this particular bill to ring fence these funds, where are we at in that?
All the counties have implemented the Facility Improvement Act, and therefore it allows the facility to retain more than 85% of their revenue. In fact, some counties have given 100%. That means no revenue will leave that facility to go and be used for any other activity within the county.
Now, some critics have come out and pointed that, it would have been far cheaper to upgrade NHIF to address those issues instead of a whole system overhaul. What's your take on that?
This NHIF system had been upgraded severally, many occasions. It reached a point where we realized it is not possible. One, the data that we got in the NHIF. For example, I'll give you an example. When we cross-checked the data that was in the NHIF with the National Registration Bureau, because they had their biometrics, that alone showed that there are about 3 million people who cannot be traced. So what does it tell you? That these 3 million could be what was the source of conduit in NHIF losing money. Okay. Because if you say you have a data of over 12 million, and when we verify that against the single source of truth, which is the National Registration Bureau, where all our IDs and all our fingerprints are there, it gave us a return of only 9 million. So that means the system that we were keeping, the system that we are using, had challenges.
Okay.
And therefore, we had to overhaul the system.
Okay.
And we needed an integrated healthcare system, not just to deal with claims the way the NHIF was dealing with. We had to bring in a bigger system which digitizes what you call the health ecosystem. We needed to know whether this in terms of registration, and it links to the National Registration Bureau. If it comes to the issue of claims, it should process the claims automatically. It should not delay in processing the claims. There is less human intervention. We have tried to reduce the human intervention because we believe with a lot of processes requiring human intervention, it was a big challenge.
Okay, so going digital to curb fraud. Now, Kenyans are unclear about the differences or similarities between SHA, SHIF, and the recent mention of Taifa Care. Care to clarify?
Yes. When you talk of SHI, it means the Social Health Insurance, all right, which was created by an act of Parliament and assented to in 2023.
Yeah.
That is, they call it the SHI. And then SHA is a Social Health Authority. Social Health Authority was created by the SHI Act, the Social Health Insurance Act, which created an authority. And this authority is to manage 3 funds. Fund number 1 is Primary Healthcare Funds. The second one is the Social Health Insurance Fund, now the SHIF. And then the third fund is Emergency, Chronic, and Critical Illness Fund.
Yeah.
So SHI is the one that created the act.
Yeah.
SHA is an authority. And then SHIF is the fund that you contribute to by paying 2.75% of your income.
Taifa Care?
Taifa Care now talks about the entire ecosystem and the benefits that you get under SHIF, where you benefit by your premium contribution, you get care. We have the Primary Health Care Fund, again, which is managed by by SHA. And then you have the Emergency, Chronic, and Critical Illness Fund. And therefore, the whole package is called Taifa Care, because you can benefit from all these funds that you're talking about.
Okay.
Therefore, it becomes a care for our nation.
Okay. So now, the healthcare tool is, or rather, the whole healthcare, as you're talking universal healthcare, is Taifa Care. But then we have the authority as SHA. Now, SHA is meant to address affordability, access, and quality healthcare. Then why are public servants demanding for enhanced cover, similar to one that they had on NHIF, if it's that awesome?
Now, I want to tell you this, that the Social Health Insurance Act requires that all Kenyans contribute or pay their premiums at the rate of 2.75%. So that's for all Kenyans, irrespective of whether you are employed or not. Now, an employer gives benefits to the employee, among them the medical benefits. So the civil service, being an employer, provides a benefit, a medical benefit to their employees, what you used to call those days medical allowance that you pay to your employee. So they are entitled, and that's why they are asking for the enhanced system. Enhanced means it is no longer what they used to do with former NHIF. It is the base is what you contribute under SHA. Those are your benefits which you are entitled to. And now, over and above, you are the shift benefits. Now your employer comes in to give you over and above, and therefore it caters for you as an employee of civil servant. So that's why an employee of civil servant says, I am still entitled to my medical cover, irrespective of my contribution. Yes.
But then someone would also argue, a critic of this, if you're supposed to be all equal, universal healthcare, that's the spirit of it, universal healthcare. Now we have public servants who are saying, yes, they're entitled to this, but then shouldn't it be then voluntary for those in the private sector who want to chip in more, to also have the enhanced care?
Let me tell you that even in the private sector, the companies also, just like the civil service, they also provide medical care to their staff over and above what the staff are contributing to SHA. So it is universal, it cuts across, but we are saying the ones that we pay under the social health insurance, it is for the entire nation. It is irrespective of your employment status, because we deduct 2.75% across the country. I mean, for those who are employed or unemployed. So it is
so contributions by the public servants, are they going to be more, past the 2.75%?
No. It is 2.75% of their monthly salary.
So that doesn't change?
It doesn't
However,
change.
they get an enhanced cover?
No, it doesn't change.
Okay. So where the enhanced, how does it come in? Because they're owed by their employer?
The enhanced comes in because the employer provides a medical benefit.
All right.
And this time the employer is as a civil service. So that is the only difference.
Now, what are the concrete steps that are being taken to lower the cost of medicine? Because it accounts for 60% of, the cost of health services.
I can say that, number one, we are now trying to bring everybody to contribute. And therefore, we are saying we want to pull our resources together. Two, we also, you remember like those, when we started treating dialysis patients, especially in the country, the expense, the charges are very high. But when we spread this, we brought in a lot of dialysis machines. And now the cost came down to the last amount. Now, currently, we are charging 9,800 and something. So you can see when we have additional machines, we're able to spread, and therefore the demand and supply will work out. You realize that there's a lot of supply of these equipments, and therefore patients will have a choice where to go. That's number one. Number two, if we continue with this new system, we are also going to ask for quality care. And when you talk of quality care, we want to see that whatever you're providing is commensurate, the service you're providing is commensurate to the payments. So we are going to tighten that area, and we have told the KBC to really ensure that we strengthen the regulatory framework for enforcement, so that patients are not overcharged in areas where they're supposed to pay less.
Well, that may be the case, Bwana P.S. We do over 60-70% of our medicine is imported. yet it carries the hugest bulk, when it comes to health bills. So what are we doing about increasing production, local production of medicine?
As of now, you've seen we have opened up the special economic zones. Remember the president last year during the celebration of Mashujaa Day, the Universal Healthcare Week, specifically that day, the president specifically approved a special economic zone in Thika to be specifically for pharmaceutical industries. That means the government is encouraging investments in the local production. We've also now made it mandatory by KEMSA to ring fence tenders for local companies. They will not be competing with the foreign companies, because we do know sometimes some of those countries provide subsidies to their manufacturers. So we've tried to ring fence. Any product that is manufactured locally will be given preference when it comes to government tenders.
To the tenders for manufacturing.
Yes.
Since you've mentioned KEMSA, before we take a quick breather, KEMSA is owed approximately 2 billion shillings by counties.
No, to be specific, it is 3.4.
3.4.
Yes.
Wow, that's understandable. So how are you ensuring that this does not happen again? Is there a mechanism to ensure that if government is giving these monies to the counties, or rather doing the disbursement, why not pay KEMSA direct? I mean, what are we thinking?
We looked at the constitution, we looked at the laws that we have currently. We had engagement with the National Treasury. It was not possible to deduct the money at source. And therefore, the money had to go first to the counties, and counties had other priorities. By the time they are paying KEMSA, it takes more than 90 days. Now, we are reforming this. We are saying, and we have engaged with the governors. We've agreed that they are ready now, because they have realized the importance of ensuring that their drugs are within their facilities. So with the proper digitization and now the social health working, we are going to pay directly to the facilities. And I've said earlier that we have an act now, which the counties have also enacted or adopted. They have now ring-fenced the revenue that goes to the facilities. So it will be the responsibility of each of the facilities to pay KEMSA, and they have accepted. We are doing that for the purpose of ensuring that we have drugs within the facilities, no delay in ordering. And again, the digital system that we have, the integrated health information system that we have, makes it easy, because we are digitizing the public facilities as well, including digitizing the procurement system, where as they dispense the drugs, we'll be able to see the volume that they have currently. Does it require an order? When it reaches a certain level, it will trigger automatic order to KEMSA, and KEMSA will be able to supply. So it's going to be seamless. As I told you, there's no less human intervention, because sometimes there's delay in the paperwork, pushing for approvals. So this time it is digitized. It's going to be automatic in that case.
What are the timelines to have this actually rolled out?
To roll out this, we have within the program, as we procured the system and working with our suppliers, especially the consortium members, we have given ourselves a timeline of 2 years to fully digitize the entire ecosystem. But the speed at which we are going, I can tell you, we might not. We are going to achieve this in a record time of less than 1 year or 1 year.
Okay. And on that note, with speed, we take a quick breather. What we're looking at focusing on affordability, access, and quality healthcare. We'll be right back.
mamlaka ya ukusanyaji ushuru nchini inakuletea kampeni ya umma ya G-Nice na Risiti Legit. Thibitisha risiti yako ukitumia app ya Risiti Legit, upate nafasi ya kuibuka mshindi wa zawadi kemkem kama vile shilingi milioni 1 pesa taslim, laptops, televisheni ya inchi 50, smartphones na zawadi zingine. Disemba tarehe 4, siku ya Jumatano, kutana na msafara wetu Homa Bay katika maeneo ya Oyugis, Rangwe, Rodi, Mthiwa, Sori, Kendu Bay, Homa Bay Town na Mbita. Alhamisi tarehe 5 Disemba tutakuwa Kisii, maeneo ya Kisii Town, Ogembo, Suneka, Kanyenya, Nyamache, Marani, Masimba na Keumbu. Pata app ya Risiti Legit kwa Google Play Store au App Store kwa maelezo ya kuingia katika mashindano ya Risiti Legit. G-Nice na Risiti Legit. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sport,
It's a class.
music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital app in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital app.
Welcome back. This is A Shift. Now, P.S. Kimtai, my grandma back in Kibirisha, Meru County, really struggles using the cell phone. How are you ensuring that SHA, now that you've termed it Taifa Care, she's not left out from the benefits, especially when it comes to the registration process?
Thank you. I think you remember last year we also commissioned, the President commissioned 100,000 community health promoters. In fact, the figure has gone up now to about 107,000. Now, we have trained these community health promoters because we also issued them with smartphones. So they are, as they visit the households, which they are supposed to supervise in terms of their health care, they will be doing registration. And once they've registered those households, then the household will benefit automatically from the social health insurance. Registration alone gives you benefits at level 2 and level 3 without paying even your premiums. Level 4, 5, and 6 is when your social health insurance contributions will come in. So that means it's accessible. It is available for all Kenyans, irrespective of your status.
So I can just walk in with my documents, whether I'm registered, and get service at level 2, 3?
Level 2, 3.
Level 2, 3.
Yes, and we have also opened now level 4 for PHC, just because we realize that the challenge of accessibility is there. Some people live within the level 4 facility, so we cannot take them back to go and start in level 3. Yeah. So we opened up, we realized there was that challenge, and we opened up for them.
So how many hospitals have registered level 4 actually have enrolled on SHA? Because there's an appeal from government to have level 4, medical facilities also on board on SHA. Where are we at with that?
Yes, we have all public facilities, all of them, about 5,000 have been registered for the PHC, and now level 4 and 5. Because mostly the counties are the ones who they go up to level 5. Level 6 are for the national referral hospitals, and these are the Kenyatta National Hospital, for example, KUTRH, Madare, and MTRH, that is Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Those are the level 6.
So CHPs are supposed to assist members of the public, register on this particular platform.
Yes.
And we've seen a report that this is a challenge, not just among those who are struggling with tech, but we also are having a problem registering on the portal. How are you addressing this?
What we did is, with our service providers, we have given, we whitewashed the CHP's phones to allow them use their phones without needing bundles. So that means they have enough access to data for them to continue registering. So that's not a challenge anymore. And then for those who need to go to the portal, definitely they have to go to a website where we have internet, and they're able to access that.
Okay.
So that is possible. Those who have smartphones, they will be able to also use that, because with the bundles, they'll be able to access the portal.
Now, there's a case in point where a person used to seek medical services at a level 4 hospital under the now defunct NHIF, but now they're not allowed, or they cannot access services at the level 4 facility. They're being referred to level 1 for them to get referred.
Okay, let me explain to you. Level 1 is the community unit. That means the CHP when they visit the household. So we refer that to level 1 because it is being supported by the CHP. And they go there, they do basic. They take your pressure, they take your glucose level, and they talk to you, and then they quickly tell you to visit the next facility if you have a problem. Say, for example, if your pressure is high, they will take you to the next facility. That is level 2. Now, level 2 is the dispensary, all right?
Yes.
And then in level 2, there are certain basic services that will be offered at that level. And that's level 2 and level 3, which is the health center. Now, level 4, we had decided level 4 to start using the shift or the social health insurance fund. That means your contribution now, where we wanted to use level 2 and level 3 because it is free. Now, if you go to level 4, we had designed the system in a way that at level 4, that's when you start using your social health insurance fund, which you contribute. But you see, Kenyans are saying, if I can access services at my nearest hospital is
level 4, why shouldn't I just
walk in? Why should I go this?
Yes.
But you see, we also wanted you to benefit simple ailments. Sometimes that you find somebody has gone to a level 4, level 5, level 6. You go to our level 6, you realize that there are people who are just having simple ailments who needs to be checked. Say, for example, to be stated whether they have malaria or not, and then they go back home. So why should you use your shift contributions? So, but now they're saying, okay, open for us. We want to access level 4. So we are now saying we have open level 4 because level 4 will be entitled to capitation. So we wanted capitation to be done at level 2 and level 3 and not level 4. So we are trying to reorganize our referral system. So for now, because it's a new system, we are now taking Kenyans through and we are telling them, you are entitled to free medical cover at level 2 and 3. When you go to level 4, that means that you either need a specialized care or go for specialized tests that are taken at that level 4, where now your card starts being used.
So for this case study, they can now freely walk to level 4 because they were already getting the services from level 4 before we did the transition.
Yes.
Can they access and use their capitation funds? Since we've been, I think...
Right now what we did because of the outcry, we opened that. Okay. We gave a policy directive that we now go up to level 4. Yeah. But you see, we were discussing with the governors and they're saying they realized that they were providing at level 4 and even their level 5, they were providing services which are normally supposed to be provided at level 2 and 3. And that's why you go to their health centers and dispensaries, you find there are no people, there are no patients who go there because they are used to going to level 4. And you go to level 4, you'll find it is very much crowded. Okay. Now we want to have a referral system. It will take a while for us to understand, and a new system, it will be okay.
Okay, we'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, you have stated that no patient should be denied care due to unpaid contributions, provided they are registered with SHA. Yet, reports suggest that Kenyans are being turned away. What's your comment on this?
You see, I said that Kenyans should access free care at level 2 and level 3 once they are registered. Okay? But if when you go to level 4, 5, 6, and you're not a paid up member, it's like you've gone to that facility where you're supposed to pay and you don't have money. Okay. You are supposed to register and pay your premiums for you to access service at level 4, level 5 and 6. And then these services, they depends with the kind of disease that you have. So which cannot be treated at level 2 and 3. Because that's when we say it's been referred. These are cases of referral. So when you go there now is when you use your social health insurance contributions.
Thank you for that clarity. I think it was not clear in the communication that free care is only on level 2 and 3. Now, what is the current state of the government's medical leasing program, medical equipment leasing program?
The medical leasing program, yes. The MES
yes.
Program lapsed last year. Now we've come up with a new program. It's called the National Equipment Support to Counties. Now this is a different model which we learned from the MES, the Medical Equipment Program. How does it operate? One, we floated an open tender together with the county governments, and we invited the bidders to come on board to say, we want bidders who are able to provide what's called fee for service. Meaning, you bring your machine, install in the facility, you provide service, and you charge that facility. For example, you bring in a dialysis machine, it is placed in a facility, the vendor, the supplier will be paying the consumables, will be servicing, and the role of the county is just to provide a facility or a room where they install it, and then patients will go there, they will be treated using their shift, they will be charged, they will claim that from the social health authority. When they pay back the facility claims, then they will pay the owner of the machine the service that they have rendered. So the counties will not incur any cost of maintenance. That's the beauty of it, because you realize that you go to a county, you have an equipment, sometimes it's not working, procurement has not been done for consumables. So we realize that for us to achieve universal health care, we need the private sector to come in and support. That's one area of private sector collaboration with the county government or the facility owners. Okay. So it is one that it's ready now.
It's ready?
Oh, we are getting now, the counties are giving us the list of the equipment that they need, which will be given to these suppliers. They will now go and install within the facilities that have been identified. If it's a dialysis, if it is X-ray machine, MRI, CT scan, now this is going to be possible without investment. Previously, it was really a big challenge to the counties because they didn't have the budget.
And also those who are supplying did not get their monies paid. I hope that is going to be corrected under the new program there. Now, Kenya moves towards a middle income status, and donor funding is decreasing. What is your plan, in ensuring continued access to free ARVs, malaria drugs, as well as TB drugs?
You see, we have changed the funding model. The funding model is based on our contributions under Social Health Authority now. Yeah. So we are now going to bring everybody on board. So as the development partners, donors are pulling away because of our status, economic status, and they have given us notice. Most of them have given us notice until 2030. That within that 2030, you should have budgeted for what they have been supporting us with. Okay. And we are coming up with a sustainability roadmap. For example, we now have the HIV/AIDS sustainability program we launched on 1st, where we are now seeing how and then do we phase out the development partners?
Okay.
So we want to integrate this into our system. We know everybody's contributing, irrespective of your status. If you are poor, indigent, then the government will take care of you.
Okay.
So you should then be entitled. We are going to include those ARV drugs into our social health insurance benefits.
So currently, is HIV/AIDS management covered under SHA?
Currently, no. Because it is being funded by the government and the development partners. So we could not again put that as a package. So they are still accessing the ARV drugs, which is being funded by the national government through the GOK and the development partners like Global Fund, PEPFAR, and others. Vaccines, similar to vaccines, so we are having the same. So in future now, for example, vaccines will be under the benefit packages that one is entitled.
Now, there seems to be a lot of data collection, to onboard on SHA.
Yes.
How safe is that data?
This data is safe because we did the data impact assessment that was done by the Office of the Data Protection, and we are compliant with the data protection laws. So the data is safe, and Kenyans should be assured of that.
That is good, because they talk data is king. So does the government have the capacity to evaluate, the quality of services, in public health facilities, given the limited resources, both human capital as well as medicine and equipment?
We have various regulatory bodies that are supposed to do that. But you realize that the enforcement is weak. Now, what we are doing is we realize with so many government agencies playing into the space of regulatory, we have the Kenya Medical Doctors and Dentist Practitioners Council, we have the Kenya Clinical Officers Council. So they are supposed to help us in regulating services delivered by the professionals, at the same time by the facility owners. That has been, there's been a loophole there.
Okay.
What we are doing now is we're coming up with a new bill, what's called the Quality of Care Bill. This Quality of Care Bill will spell out clearly what a facility needs to have for it to be registered, all right? What caliber of the doctors that they employ there, all right? So we are looking at the care in totality, the care in totality. So from facilities, equipment that they have, and the kind of doctors they have, all right? So that are they specialized doctors? If you say you're providing this service, do you have these doctors? So we realize that some of them just talk of this kind of service being offered here, but they don't have the specialized doctors. You'll find again the general physicians are the ones who are doing that.
Now you have led me to this question. A majority of doctors employed in public facilities also run private hospitals. Case in point, you go for consultation or treatment in a government facility, but you're referred for treatment in a private facility. How are you addressing this conflict of interest?
We are addressing that through digitization.
Okay.
Number one, if you're an employee of government, all right, you are supposed to be on duty from 8 to 5. Now, when you walk in there, you log in because we are going to supply them with the gadgets. They need to log in. They will provide, because our system of delivery of healthcare is there's no more paperwork. Once we've given them all the gadgets. So they log in and then they provide service. That means within that week, if they are on duty, they will not be able to go to their clinics. And we are saying this because the system will be able to detect them, because they have their record, their number, which is now, we have what's called the human resource, or the registry, which is within the integrated healthcare system. And if the doctor goes to another facility, should be able to log in from that facility.
Okay.
And if you're a government doctor employed by the government, and you are supposed to be on duty. We get that you have locked in here, and you've moved and you went in and locked in there. Were you off duty? All right? So the system is able to read and understand that this one was ought to have been here because you are licensed to operate from here. And if you find that you are again in another facility, and unless you're off duty. So that claim will not be honored by SHA because you are providing service at a wrong place.
Biometrics to curb inefficiencies and fraud.
Yes.
We're still speaking about matters of health, focusing on the transition where we find ourselves, that is under the Social Health Authority. Take a quick breather. When we come back, we're going to be looking at public sentiments. That includes your feedback, as well as the quality of services that are being offered in our health facilities. We'll be right back.
The Shift.
Star 570 hash. Option 1 kuna PS5 na with full package na inakuja na JBL Party Box. Your boom experience pia iko.
Do I look like those losers who watch movies on the laptop?
Now I am confirmed you are like a lazy person.
Even the richest person in the world, like Zugabaga, Bill Gates, they don't have enough money. They are very, very busy looking for more and more money.
Yes, I enjoy.
You want some more?
Yes.
No, Kamene. It's not much. Take that.
Guys, I am now an executive. I am taking tea from the land bottle.
Keep my dad's name out of your dirty mouth. And by the way, my dad is not rich. He is wealthy. Muskia.
The Shift.
Indeed, the shift. So what has been your experience under the SHA so far? Let's look at what you had to say on our poll. Let's have it up there on graphics to see what Kenyans have had to say in regard with to their experiences. Do you think the government has resolved the shift teething problems? Well, we have yes at 40, but no at around 262. Bonapius, what do you have to say about that? You've told us that the system is working, but Kenyans from that particular poll that is very much live, a majority do not seem to agree with your sentiments.
I don't know. If they don't agree, they needed to tell us exactly what service areas that they are not getting service.
Okay.
But what we know is, if you are registered and you go to level 2, level 3, you should get service.
You should get service.
If you have paid up member, registered and paid up member, if you go to level 4, 5, you should get service.
Okay.
Because it is your premiums that will be used. We have now many Kenyans.
Now, these are the areas, or rather the areas of concerns. We're going to be playing them there. Now, medics have raised concerns about, long working hours due to understaffing, which has then in turn increased the risk of medical errors. How are you addressing that issue?
I think the medics have said that they're working long hours. I remember that was one of the sticky issues during their strike, and we had engaged them. Okay. We told them, for example, the interns. We've told them that the interns should work within the hours that they're supposed to work. Nobody should work an extra minute, not even an hour, an extra minute. So we are saying, let the doctors work within the hours that they're supposed to work. Mm-hmm. If that facility faces a challenge, or that hospital faces a challenge, then that means there is need for employment of additional doctor. Mm-hmm. So for me, we need to be honest to ourselves. So that the facility owners or the government, if it's a government facility, we need to know that indeed these doctors are working for more hours and therefore they need additional officers or medical officers to work.
Now, as we're looking at, pooling or rather building on human capacity, the statistics for Kenya, a ratio to patient to doc ratio, we have 19 doctors serving 100 patients. So when you do the math, is 1 to 5 point something. That is still below what WHO has a standard. So we're already having a problem when it comes to the qualification under this particular profession. What are you doing to build that capacity?
I don't think, Regina, that we have a problem of qualification. We have so many doctors who have now been trained.
Okay.
And we have taken them through the internship program.
Okay.
I think the problem is employment.
Transitioning from interns to now getting into
Yes,
employment.
because we have so many interns who have been trained and they are not able to get employment in some of these facilities.
Why? And what are you doing about it?
The issue is, one, we want the county governments to employ them. All right? So you'll find the challenge that has been there within the county government is the wage bill. The wage bill is so high and they are not able to now employ. So I think as we look at the sector, we have developed, we have the presidential task force on the health human resource workforce. So we are waiting for that report to give us an analysis of exactly how are we going to reorganize our healthcare system in terms of service delivery, where we rely so much on the human resource. It plays a key role in healthcare delivery, specifically universal healthcare. So that's where we have a big challenge because of employment,
Also,
where the counties have the wage bill says.
Okay. Now, also on another level is that what is government doing, to address the issue of brain drain? Because we're seeing a lot of export of medical professionals at a time when, there's growing demand for these professionals back home. Are you dealing with that?
If from records or statistics, especially those who have done diploma courses, nursing, for example, which is in high demand, we have opened up many, almost when you go to every constituency now, they either have a Kenya Medical Training College. So we are training a lot of Kenyans, but you see the absorption within the local market is a challenge. Now, what do? We need to open up this market, support them in terms of going to go to the international markets. You've seen our president has been signing bilateral labor agreements with other countries where there's shortage of such kind of human resource. Why should we keep our surplus, yet they can go and work elsewhere?
Is it surplus? It's just that they've not been absorbed. With the demand and the supply there, it's a lack of absorption, as you've said.
I think on Thursday we'll be graduating about, probably 22,000. So every year we are graduating these students. And
but they're not, the rate of absorption is still...
And I'm saying our absorption is a problem. So should we wait until they are all absorbed? Again, they require to be continuously be engaged because it's a profession that you have to practice so that you become a specialist or you become more efficient in terms of service delivery.
Are you in talks, is the national government, in talks with the devolved units, in a way to improve, the conditions and terms of service of medical practitioners? We are having strikes. If it's not the doctor, it is the nurses. If it's not the nurses, it's the clinical officers. On and off. And the person suffering is Wanjiko.
Actually, currently we are working very closely with the county government. Every program we co-owned, we develop it together, the county government. The role of the national government is basically to support counties in capacity building. That's why we do the training and then also technically. So we design these programs together. I think we look at how this service is going to be delivered under this universal healthcare coverage. And we do understand that there are very critical pillars that we need to have. Number one is the human resource for health. That's one of the key pillars of UHC. Number two is commodity. It's very, very important. Number three, which you have now included, is digitization. And then number four is the healthcare finance, which we are now contributing through contribution of 2.75%. So you can see, if we strengthen all these 4 pillars, we shall deliver universal health care coverage. All the 4 pillars are critical.
Oh, critical. Now, before we have a look at what our viewers have had to say in regard to this particular conversation, we need clarity. Some few months ago, we had a government official, say that if children or other students are not onboarded onto SHA, they will not be readmitted back to school in January. So basically, how does SHA address the health coverage of students, and also clarity on that particular pronunciation?
I think the misconception that is there is that the government officer or the government this has said this. That's where the problem is. The issue is we are advising parents, telling parents to please, if you have registered and you have paid a member, please onboard your dependents, onboard your children who are supposed to benefit from the medical cover that you are entitled to, because it covers plus your dependents. So that's the reason why you're saying we want, at the time of when the schools are opening, we want to have conversations with parents to ask them, have you onboarded your dependents? That is what we mean.
So it's an advice, it's not a directive.
Advice. You remember, we have the Edu Afya.
Yeah.
That Edu Afya program was only for high school. But now we are saying, under SHA, that Edu Afya program now covers every child in school, whether in private, whether in public, as long as you are registered and a paid up member for...
Does it mean more contributions, or because the parent or the guardian is registered under SHA?
The guardian is registered and paid up because it's the guardian who pays their premiums.
Yeah.
And therefore, it is the benefit of the guardian, the parent, that they also ensure that their children have been onboarded as dependents, so that when they are at home and the child is in school, they need not to worry
about that. Okay, let's hear what Kenyans had to say in regard to their experience with SHA so far.
Affordable healthcare to all Kenyans under the universal health coverage was the cornerstone of the Kenya Kwanza manifesto during the 2022 campaigns. With the introduction of the Social Health Authority, is the government doing enough to resolve the teething problem in the new transition? Come as I engage with Kenyans.
Huu mwezi tumeshakuwa na changamoto ya mzee kukuwa na shida ya prostate. Nimeona niliwafungulia SHA nikawalipia 6 months advance. Na juzi vile alienda niliona kama bima yake zingine zililipwa.
Chief, upande hii hakuna public participation yoyote imefanywa kuhusu hii chief. Tulikuwa tumeletewa tu kighafla.
Wakapeleka jina langu, wakaniambia kwa hiyo SHA inatakana nilipe 750. Sasa mimi nilishindwa nilipe 750 na wengine wanalipa 300.
Lienda wakaangalia wakapata kuna pesa ilibaki kwa NHIF, ndio imemsaidia matibabu ya kukata matiti kwa SHA.
The government have been calling on Kenyans to register for the new Social Health Insurance Fund. Have you registered? Let's try the code and register now. Code is a simple and efficient way to register. The first step, you dial *147# on your mobile phone. Then you proceed to press option 1, which for the Kenyan citizen, or option 2 if you are a foreign resident. Then you will enter your national ID number. Filling all the information, you will receive a confirmation code informing you that your SHA application has been received and is queued for processing.
Unapata system hazifanyi kazi, tena unaambiwa uende nyumbani utegee urudi tena. Na unajua sasa ugonjwa haiwezi goja hiyo wakati unaambiwa utegee.
SHA imeweza kunisaidia. Kwa hivyo ni mpango mzuri ambapo wanabodaboda wetu tunawaomba muweze kujiandikisha kwenye SHA ili uweze kuepuka na yale emergency.
Ni mzuri, tunashukuru kwa sababu sasa tunajitibu kwa hospitali zote bila shida, lakini ile sisi wananchi kuelimishwa na kujua mengi ndio bado.
That is Wanjiko speaking in regard to SHA, prepared by my colleague Khalid there. PS Kimtai, response to those Kenyans.
Those Kenyans are saying, number one, those who have registered, one, confirm that indeed the father is benefited from SHA treatment. The other one, they were supposed registered and they were supposed to pay their premiums. And they're asking, why am I paying? Because you need to pay your premiums. Like that one was the premium of 750 per month. So you pay your 750 per month, instantly you receive care. Before, NHIF used to take 6 months, but now you're saying it's instant. So pay your premiums and you get service at level 4, level 5, and level 6. Where the hospitals are not providing what they call SHA services, are contracted to provide SHA benefits, we are saying that every facility need to sign a contract with SHA so that they are in panel and they're able to provide Kenyans service under the SHA. I am saying this, and we have warned them, that the period that we have given them a grace period.
Till when?
We have given them a grace period because we send them, because this is just a second month.
Yes.
We've given them forms. We've told them, not even now forms. We changed from using the forms. We've told them it is now e-contracting. We send there the contract, they sign and they send back because we have digitized our systems. Now, in the next, by January, we expect all healthcare facilities that are registered by KBC to have signed the contract, and we shall publish the ones that have registered and the ones that have not registered, and we'll be able to take action because they are giving the government a bad name, bad image, that we are not offering SHA care under SHA or universal health care coverage. So these are the areas where you find patients are being told to pay cash because they have not been in panel and they have not signed the contract and they demand cash. Yet a Kenyan who has registered and paid their premiums should be entitled for care under the benefits that are provided for by SHA. So that's an area that we are focusing on now on, and we expect, we've trained them, we've done virtual meetings, we've trained them on how to support patients who come and they are not registered. We've told them also to set up the customer care desk within there so that any patient who goes to a facility should be able to, and they are not registered, then they should be able to be assisted to get registration, and once they pay their premiums, they should proceed and be treated. There is no need for a patient to be charged, say, 20,000, yet if they have registered and the means testing, for those who are not employed, means testing is done, and maybe they are only entitled to pay 6,000 or 10,000 for them to access this service. And they will access this service throughout the year. So once you go to the hospital, you are charged 20,000. Maybe you want to go again for another.
Do these facilities have an option to decline onboarding?
They have no option. They have no option.
So private sector players, we also have faith-based facilities. All of this, they're all directed or are mandated to get under SHA.
The KBC, which is the regulatory body, have already forwarded their details in, and it's been captured in the system. They are within the health ecosystem. So we issued them with what's called the e-contract forms, which we forwarded to them. So we are telling them, please resubmit your forms. There are those who are hesitant. They were saying, we've not understood. We've taken 6 days. We've talked to them. We've trained them. So I don't think they have any option this time.
So failure to which?
They will be deregistered by the KBC. straight away.
So
And once their permit, they don't have the permit, the renewal of permit, then that means they will not be able to offer service. So they have no choice. It is a regulator who says, go here. We have taken your details to SHA. Now you should proceed and enter into contract to provide service under SHA. So we have the regulator.
Okay.
So we tell the regulator, do your work. And that's why in these current laws that we passed, we strengthen the enforcement laws by KBC, which is actually the regulator.
Do these patients, does Kenya have time? Do patients have time to wait until January?
Kenyans need to know, and they're right, that once they're paid, if they go to that facility, they should also demand that it is, go there with your ID and say, I've paid for my premiums and I'm therefore entitled to get care here. If they don't provide that, and as I've said, because we are all in the first 2 months, and we are saying now, if you have not contracted, what is holding you from contracting? So we are going to send the regulator to do their job.
So the patient can have this redress for the patient?
Yes.
So they need to report it to whom?
The regulator, KBC, Kenya Medical and Doctors Practitioners Dentist Council.
There you have it. We've been having Principal Secretary Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, debunking and unpacking what we are in right now, and that is Taifa Care, that SHA, that is Social Health Authority, is providing oversight and directive on. The question tonight has been, do you think that Kenya's health sector is healthy, and what has been your experience? I'm Regina Manyara. I hand you over to the rest of the team for what has been making headlines in the last 8 hours.
Christmas ni sahi ishafika na ni kubwa kubwa. Kweli? Hii Kristi ni bomba na Blue Santa kupitia star 570 hash option 1. Rudia. Star 570 hash option 1. Iko PlayStation 5 na 55 TV na iko 500,000 Kenyan shillings.
Nambuzi moja?
Nambuzi. 1 million Kenyan shillings na Samsung S24 Ultra.
Nambuzi moja?
Iko 2 million Kenyan shillings na iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Nambuzi mbili.
Blue Santa amekuja na zawadi kibao. Nani kubwa Hapa kuna ndogo ndogo. Hapa Christmas ni bomba.
Thank you for staying with Prime Edition. Time for the business news now. My name is Betty Kiptum. The government is in the process of streamlining complex licensing processes that have previously led to delays and inefficiencies to investors seeking swift entry into the Kenyan market. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says the new reforms will help deal with retrogressive legislation to enhance Kenya's business environment and attract more foreign investment.
Speaking at the 5th Germany African Business Summit, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says the government is committed to discarding outdated policies and enacting reforms that enhance the ease of doing business.
We have to strike a proper balance between attracting capital and benefiting the Kenyans. Let us not have legislation that has become an obstacle to foreign direct investment in our countries.
Mudavadi says the government is making steady progress in deepening cooperation with Germany in labor migration, trade and investment, necessitating the need for the country to align its legal and institutional frameworks to make the movement of capital faster and unlock opportunities for young entrepreneurs.
These young people we are talking about, the 60%, they need jobs, not tomorrow, but today. So we need to have some very positive action. And I hope through these conversations, we shall be able to overcome such challenges, such barriers.
930 German companies are in Africa and invested in Africa and employ over 230,000 people in Africa. These are good figures, but not so good that we could not do better.
The three-day summit brings together business leaders, policymakers and stakeholders from Africa and Germany to explore opportunities for enhanced trade and investment. Trevor Ngende for Prime Edition.
An unpredictable tax regime and cumbersome bureaucratic procedures are affecting Kenya's investment profile. Bidco Africa Chair Vimal Shah says the government should implement the much-delayed tax policy to attract more investment. Speaking during the International Confederation Chamber of Commerce and Enterprise Summit in Nairobi, Vimal says Kenya has immense potential to stabilize its economy through trade and industrialization. The implementation of the national tax policy is aimed at addressing tax uncertainty, which continues to haunt the country's competitive edge. Public Service Governance President Esther Wariga says there is need for the political class to avoid inflammatory rhetoric that could destabilize the fragile business environment in the country.
Kenyans are super people, and I think it's an avenue set for investment, number one. Number two, we only need to reset a few things, and that's where if our legislation opens up and says, fine, let's make it better and improve the conditions, we'll have people coming in and say, fine, let's go manufacture here, because the opportunity you bring is free market access to the whole of Africa, to East Africa, to AGOA, right, to Europe. What other better place? And then you've got people. We've got availability of people. We've got availability of skills, English speaking.
And players in the startup ecosystem have been urged to consolidate their efforts in supporting startups as they face economic headwinds. The Kenya National Innovation Agency Chief Executive, that is Dr. Tony Omwansa, says that efforts are currently fragmented, leading to unstructured application of backing meant for startups.
The Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy figures show that Kenya is already a leader in African technology innovation and is home to over 1,000 active startups and the birthplace of mobile money giant M-Pesa. To that end, Kenya is looking at ways of creating resilience in the country's startup ecosystems, even as more startups struggle to access capital.
One of the things that our ecosystem might need a lot of help with is monitoring and evaluation, where we are able to put together all the data of how we are supporting startups, who we are supporting, and how they are growing.
During the launch of the Association of Startups and SMEs Enablers of Kenya annual conference, it emerged that despite strides in improving policy frameworks and infrastructure, startups continue failing after their second birthday due to inconsistent support.
I think it is that opportunity to sort out our clusters as we potentially can. That is the opportunity to interconnect the various efforts of different ministries and different institutions that are supporting this space.
Government plays a very critical role when it comes to building the ecosystem. And for us, it's very important when it comes to policy engagement, but also looking at funding and how that can be channeled to the startups and SMEs.
In November, the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, in collaboration with development partners, launched the Kenya Startup Ecosystem Platform to produce open access data to showcase Kenyan startups, their funding journeys and emerging trends. Startups can use this tool to connect with investors, build partnerships and share data to attract attention from global markets. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
The animal vaccines to be used during next year's mass livestock vaccination exercise will be procured locally. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary says the vaccines will be sourced from Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute, and already the vaccines have undergone quality assurance, urging farmers to avail their animals for vaccination in January next year.
The mass livestock vaccination has been slated for January next year, with the government targeting to vaccinate 77 million cattle, sheep and goats. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Andrew Karanja says doses of the vaccines will only be procured from the Kenya Veterinary Vaccine Production Institute to reduce the vaccination costs.
We will be sourcing all our vaccines from this center, Kevavapi. So there will be no vaccines which is coming from outside the country.
These vaccines are produced in Kenya, and the Directorate of Veterinary Services undertakes quality assurance of all vaccines produced.
The exercise targets to vaccinate 22 million cattle against foot and mouth disease, 50 million sheep and goats against peste de petit rumina.
The program is premised on prevention is better than cure. It's cheaper to prevent the disease from causing infection in the animal, and it will be more productive and even earn you more money.
The vaccination exercise is part of the 15-year livestock sector master plan that plans to increase livestock production and increase livestock shipments to key destination markets.
The animals, we are able to safeguard our animals and also our human, and also make sure that we can trade with the animals and also the meat. And to do so, we need to create a disease-free zones or disease-free country.
The Vaccines Institute says the vaccination exercise will also reduce the use of antibiotics in animal health, in turn reduce cases of antibiotics resistance in humans. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
And that story brings a close to business news this evening. Sports news is coming up with Daniel Wahome. My name is Betty Kiptum. Have yourself a good night. Bye-bye.
Nilikuwa naomba tu kwenda kumtembelea Jasiri.
Ati?
Mafuta kazi.
Na nani?
Mbora.
Kodi zalipwa kila siku. Itakuwaje hakuna dawa?
Hospitali imefungwa.
Kwa nini imefungwa?
Pikipiki posta. Tena utabaki hivyo hivyo na kuendelea kusema mambo ya watu.
Mimi ndio mwanzo na mwisho.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome. Time to get the Prime Edition Sport. And we start with basketball, where Nairobi City Thunder are the winners of the Basketball Africa League Elite 16 East qualifiers that were played this evening at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. And this is after 99-86 win over Creole Star of Cape Verde in the final. And Nairobi City Thunder became the first Kenyan team to qualify for the prestigious Basketball Africa League. Creole Stars, who finished second, are the other team to qualify from the East qualifiers. In the third place playoff played earlier, Urunani of Burundi defeated City Oilers of Uganda 77-75 to take third place. And the Kenya national women's team, the Harambee Starlets, thrashed Morocco 5-0 in their second international friendly match that was played at the Mohammed VI Football Complex in Morocco. Fasila Adhiambo opened the scoring for the Starlets before Mwana Alima Adam netted a brace just before halftime. Violet Nanjala and Elizabeth Mideva both scored in the second half to seal the victory. Mwana Alima was also on target twice when Harambee Stars drew 2-2 with Morocco in the first friendly match. Meanwhile, the junior stars are in camp for the Sekafa Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, which will be held in Kampala, Uganda from the 14th to the 27th of this month. The Kenya Under-17 football team is drawn with Somalia, South Sudan and Sudan in Group B, with their first match slated to be against South Sudan. And Kericho Senator Honorable Aaron Cheriot scored a brace for Bunge FC in their warm-up match against the Nation Media Group, but they narrowly lost 3-2. Bunge FC are preparing for the East Africa Community Interparliamentary Games, which are scheduled to kick off in Mombasa this weekend.
Bunge FC have played a number of build-up matches in preparation for this monthly East African Community Interparliamentary Games, and today they hosted the NMG football team, who narrowly beat them 3-2 in their friendly encounter played at the Ulinzi complex. Bunge's 2 goals were netted by co-captain Aaron Cheriot, who is the Senate Majority Leader and Kericho Senator.
I think we are very well prepared this year, more than any other year. We
have a very good team that has prepared throughout the year. Most of our colleagues are very fit, unlike in previous years. We only have lost a few to injury, a few crucial players like Mheshimiwa Dan Wanyama and David Ochieng, who are normally in our starting 11, but unfortunately, due to injury, will not be playing for us. But we have very suitable replacement in new members that have come in and have fit into that space.
Despite the loss, the team has confidence in their preparations, having been in training throughout the year and have also beefed up their squad with more Kenyan MPs joining the soccer team. Bunge FC finished third in the last edition and now eyes a top finish, especially with the home ground advantage in the game set from the 6th to 18th of this month in Mombasa County.
There's need for a holistic approach to ensure a safe and secure Africa Cup of Nations 2027, which will be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Stakeholders are meeting in Nairobi for a two-day workshop to mark out security strategies in readiness for the tournament.
With East Africa set to host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations finals, member countries in collaboration with development partners have begun deliberations on securing the tournament and ensuring the safety of fans, players and officials through forged cooperation and shared intelligence.
Here is to begin to organize security arrangements for AFCON 2027. To see what areas of capability that we need to build over the next 2 years, but also to see how we can successfully plan for, deliver, and protect the legacy of these very major sporting events.
It's crucial that we begin now to plan. People might not see the significance now, but you seated here, I think, is a testament that this thing is major, and therefore we need to prepare in advance. When we'll be running helter-skelter as we approach 2027, I think we'll be set.
So as to stem security breaches, government representatives as well as security officials from the three countries called for collaboration across sectors in preparation, planning and delivering a successful tournament.
Transnational organized crime remains the highest priority in our region. And in fact, this is a daunting challenge where no particular nations or agent or region groupings can combat the same on its own. The need for diverse, harmonized, and multi-agents approach mechanism to address the scourge is unavoidable. There is a critical importance to pull together in the same trajectories.
The collaboration and coordination, communication between security agencies and event organizers and stakeholders. Technological innovations, exploring the latest advancement in surveillance, detection and response technologies to enhance our security capabilities.
In Union Sports Council, we confirm that such an approach will ensure that necessary multi-dimensional cooperative techniques in facilitating a comprehensive and multi-agency approach to security, and that prevention of violent extremism is accounted for in the preparation, planning and delivery of a very successful 2027 AFCON tournament.
With sporting events identified as soft terrorism targets, the need to build capacity and identify common threats was also identified as one of the ways to secure the event.
Sporting events are quite vulnerable to targeting by other negative forces, not just terrorism, but they face a variety of security challenges. And I think it is important that we are starting early to try and learn from how other major sporting events have been protected, to try and build capacity that shall ensure that we are able to address any challenge that any security challenge that may threaten the event.
An aggregate of 150,000 fans are expected to attend the matches, hence the need to strengthen security governance for a successful 2027 Africa Cup of Nations, which will be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Bernard Okumu, Prime Edition.
And that's where we wrap the sport tonight. A full comprehensive review of that win by Nairobi City Thunder in the final of the BAL Elite 16 East Zone qualifiers. My name is Daniel Wahome. Thank you for being with us. Over to Mboya and Muchuma.
Thank you, Wahome. Today you got it right. We appreciate.
I didn't see that coming. Oh my God. Okay.
All right, we do appreciate your company. We do appreciate your feedback, and Tom, we must acknowledge that our viewers value us so much. Peter Lunyait, thank you for watching KBC all the way from Moranga. Chris Amoy, thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1. We also have quite a number also on our Facebook page.
Can I read one? We have Jared Abuga. Agika who's saying, hey, good evening, kutoka Gachie, Kiambu, massive, well represented. We have Chebochok Eric, who is in Kericho. He's saying he's following us live. We also have Benson Kitind. I don't know whether I should read this, but he writes, Wa Ebushibo Shihongo Navajo present. What is that? That's Luya, isn't it?
Yes. What
does that mean?
What does that mean? From Navajo.
Oh, he comes from Navajo.
Yes,
thank you.
Watching from Navajo.
Thank you. You know, there's something I've noticed, and I want to thank those who are sharing with us their views on the media platform and making us your go-to news channel. We've noticed that more of them are tuning in, especially online, and we don't take that for granted. We truly appreciate. Keep those numbers going.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. My name is Mchumo Dim. Our sign language expert tonight is Brian Muraru. Good night.
And my name is Tomboya. By the way, as we sign out, you know, we with a heavy heart, we lost one of our dear viewers, and you know, fare thee well, Daniel Mururi. So it's a wrap. My name is Tomboya, and we wish you a pleasant viewing. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya, and thanks for your patience. This was a long one.
Good night.
Good night. God bless.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture,
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the